And good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. This is your Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Alba. I is he. We're glad here to tell you a story. Yesterday, everyone seemed to like that show. And today, we'll see what it is. So, I wear this hat basically. It represents how I feel about Jesus. But I also do it to get a response from the general public. Right? So when I wear this hat and go on and do a live chat here, it's one of the lower rungs of the shows. So, why do you think that is? This is a live chat. Why do you think that is? Why do you think of all the shows I've done, I've worn this hat maybe 10, 20 times over the years. And so people don't realize I have all these buttons all over the hat, right? And so they all represent social political dynamics, right? And so whenever I go into a environment, a community that's going to be religiously charged, I wear this hat. Oh, 10 years ago, I was living in Roanoke, Virginia, and I had died in 2014. It will be 10 years, March in 2024 that I died. That'll be 10 years. And it took me 4 years to claw back to where I was existing without, always ending up in the emergency room. And then I'd have to basically, I'd learned that if you go to the emergency room, they just put you in a waiting room and you die there. Call 911, and ambulance takes you there. You've got a better chance of living. And if you get a clue in the ambulance that somewhat knows what's going on, they, that 10 or 15 minutes that it takes to get to the hospital, you can give them the 411. They enter it into the log. So when the doctor sees you, they see that, right? And depending on the ambulance, if the ambulance, like when I was at EMT, I would say surgical EMT, meaning I could do, procedures and administer drugs and things of that nature. Now, this was up near Cornell, and we were hooked to Cornell Medical Center, and we had state of the art technology. And this is like 88, 89, 90. And it's very interesting. Up until 1984, there were no EMT ambulances, right? And basically, someone car crash, policemen put them in the police car and took them to the hospital without any knowledge. The cops had no knowledge of anything, right? So, but with war, we learned a lot about trauma care. And Cornell is always on the leading edge. So I live in a holler that's really very, what would you say, dank. It's like living on the Thames. Or in the bayous. But the bayous and the ocean, and Thames has the ocean too. And but in both the Thames and the bayous, they are contending with environmental catastrophe. Me, I'm just living in a place that's highly. I live right. I mean, there are these things called ley lines, right? And because I live in a sawtooth mountain, right, the ley line that would normally be, I don't know, a quarter mile underground, because these mountains are doing this so intensely, and I live in a holler My whole property, from one end to the other, is just gigantic ley line. Was above ground, like a bar of metal. It looks like a gigantic magnet or a gigantic I beam, but it's just shaped like a rectangle. And what's above ground, there's a 100-yard section where the mountains do this, and it's exposed, and it goes down a lot deeper than the 20 or 40 feet that's exposed high. And I went to ETSU and went to their engineering department and found a materialist specialist who was also a geologist, and he came and looked at it. He had his little truck with a rolling laboratory, and he tried to drill into it and tried to burn it, and he had a laser, and nothing would even make it warm. He tried to scrape things off, and he was like, he had this other laser that he bounced off, and it then hit a target that had sensors, so he could tell what was made in it. And he said, "This is a ley line. I've never seen this before." And that's why I bought this project. This is energetic, right? This is a doorway. So things come in and out all the time. And everybody who comes here, like Colonel Sanders, Grandpa Cockroach, all the other rich people who are moving in, that's why they go insane. I've been there almost 20 years now. And, and lots of people, there's 4 houses that the developer built. So you can have a house here, but they are like pieces of crap, and they've been bought and sold, and people buy them at high and sell them low. Like the people that Colonel Sanders bought from, it's like 300. Any place else would be $300,000, even in a not a whoop-de-doo neighborhood like we are, and that's why people, hey, you want to sell your apartment? Yeah, 120 grand. That's just to kill people from saying, bugging me about it. This one guy came with $5,000. You're poor. You need this money. You take it. I'll have your land. I said, no, 120. What are you doing? And then within a year, he was in an insane asylum. He thought he was rich. He thought that's all that mattered. Now, that doesn't matter. And what we're seeing going on in places like the Ukraine and in Africa, Darfur, and the Strip, that's all about people who think they're rich and powerful and can have their way. And we're getting to a place where it's going to become physically, not really. So I live on $400 a month, right? And I know that's $1 million. And that's when these guys came, oh, you don't deserve to live here. You're not rich enough. We're all rich and we're moving in, and you need to get out. Here, take this money. I said, no, sorry. So this other rich guy came to me and said, I wish I could live like you. You're kind, you're gentle. Okay. Jamie, I don't even know what that meant. I was looking at it and I had my glasses on. I still don't know what that meant. But I appreciate whatever it meant. And did you retract that message, or did some Deus Machina do it? Anyway, so I'm very blessed not to have the internet, that I have to come 20 to 40 miles to come and talk to you guys, right? Not that I wouldn't like to do it all the time. Like when I lived in John's, I do 2 or 3 shows a day, right? And that's when I had a pretty large audience, and that's when the powers to be, you're really great. We want to own you, and we'll make you rich and famous. We'll put you on top of the algorithm. SK, yep, whatever that means. I have no idea. So Special K. Oh, Special K. Yes, exactly. That's Colonel Sanders. Special K. Yep. And it's sad because everyone, no one's bad. They just are lazy. So I've been reading the Bible big time. Oh, hadn't finished. I can't. Gotcha. So no one's bad. We're all made in the image and likeness of God, right? And you read the Old Testament, and God always gets, oh, Israel is, God, had Israel, obliterated, 100 times or so, Israel got all the way to the top. They're building the great temple. So why did the temple on the rock always get whacked? Because it was ideology, and not ideology, idolatry. Meaning, all those guys were more. Look at our big temple. Oh, it's made out of gold. Blah, 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 blah. And God, boy, they're losing it. So bang. Oh, we have big walls. No one can get. And so you read the Bible. It's, next time I'll bring it up. But I think it's Isaiah. I mean, you go into the first one where everything is born, and made, and in 6 days, and in the beginning, and blah 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 blah, right? But there's a section towards the middle, towards the end. Yeah, and everybody's begetting, and they're having sex with their daughters and their brothers and their sisters. Plus, right? And they keep doing it all the way after there's a zillion Homo sapiens running around, and they're still doing it, right? 2 daughters and what's it say? Let's get them drunk and get laid, no one's particularly bad. They're just lazy. Spare the rod, spoil the child. Well, right now, the children of Palestine they're not being spared the rod, that's for sure. And whatever kids survive this, they are going to be screwed up. I showed that video yesterday where the kid was saying, I tried to pull my friend out of the thing, and his head was gone. His head was over there. And I carried his body and his head like this. And his head, it was, that kid is not coming back. Then the guy, who's watching it, was like lost his. And the people who are going to suffer most from this are those guys who don't, who say, well, we follow the book, meaning the Hebrews, not really. And what I think is going to happen to Israel is, of course, they're military strong. We have 2 aircraft carrier groups to back them up. And Biden goes, oh, well, we should slow down and let a few bars of soap and some frosted flakes in, that no, stop fighting, period. Take the folks out. Get everyone to a place where they can heal, right? That's not going to happen, because Israel, basically see this, because again, I put up a number, go watch the last 5 shows, and you'll see that the guys on the gray line did a pretty good job. They went and investigated the initial incursion of Hamas, and those guys, they had GoPros on them, and they videotaped everything. Not to say that that's true, what you see from them, but you can gather a dynamic, right? So you can see them blowing up the fences to get through. They basically showed how they did it, and then they came through in SUVs and motorcycles. Motorcycles zipped ahead, and they had RPGs and AK-47. And then when you see the images from that the IDF put up, the 3 or 4 little towns were obliterated, meaning all the homes were dust. There was an image of 40 cars, these people trying to get out of Dodge, and they were incinerated. And the only way you can be incinerated like that, not from an RPG, not from AK-47, but from an Apache helicopter with Hellfire missiles. You look at images from Iraq, you look at images from Afghanistan where that technology was used, and it's exactly the same thing. Right? In the houses, you do not blow. You can drive by, and throw a hand grenade through a window, and that room will blow up. But the house won't be turned to dust. The only way you get a house turned to dust is through artillery that's on a tank, a mobile artillery tank. It's like 100 yards away, bang, it hits it with the artillery. That's what they get, right? And so that's why that looks the way it looks. Right? Now, and what's really interesting, and there's all kinds of folks who survived this, said we called up the idea. They didn't come for 20 hours. Now, why was that, right? So Hamas came in, shot up the place, and took, I mean, all those little towns, they went in to get people that they could take back to the tunnels and hold as thing to keep Israeli at bay. I thought that, they watched what Israel went to get one soldier. Israel let go of all the people that were in jail, like, 2,000 for this one soldier, right? They did that not for that one soldier. They did that politically, because then the people in Israel were like, hey. But Israel wanted those soldiers to be back in Hamas so they could stir up trouble. Because without Hamas stirring up trouble, guys like Bibi have no reason for being. Guys who run and make, Israel is the 10th largest military-industrial complex, right? So to think that they didn't know what was going on, they had the best intelligence. Mossad has the best intelligence. To think that they didn't know what was going on, are still triggered emotionally. I resemble a remark. Yep. Nightmare. To love. Most. Yep. Unity in the midst of diversity. Yep. So, that's what I write about. That's what I talk about, right? And again, here we are, 16 minutes and 16 seconds into the show. And again, get a hold of me at the dudewake42 at Gmail. Dudewake42 at Gmail. My PayPal still exists. Somebody stuck $10 on it, and there's $15 or $17 on it. But every time I go to get it, they want to have me basically change my passwords, which I've already forgot. Even if I had it, they want me to change it. And so I forgot your password, no problem. Because once I do that, I unlock everything from back when I made that contract with them like 4 years ago, and all that's, forget it. It's no longer, it's there. And in the small print, I read the small print, they want to be able to scrape, once they do that, they want to be able to scrape everything in my Google account. So that's the world we live in, kids. And so don't worry about the PayPal, right? Just get a hold of me. Let's physically talk. But even though you get a hold of me on my email, and the cadre can't see it, anything on the internet, there is no privacy, right? And my little devices, I turn them off at night, and I keep them in, in the on the deck, getting charged, and I'm sleeping a football field away. Right? So let's see. What time is it? Lunch crowd hasn't really shuffled in yet.
Now, there is finally a plan for Americans on Medicare to get implants, bridges, crowns, and everyday dental care.
So this is your freedom from choice, right? Amen.
In 2010, there was a simultaneous raid on 2 different locations in California. Heavily armed agents stormed into private properties, arresting several U.S. citizens for dealing in a restricted substance. Now, drug raids happen quite frequently in the U.S. It's just one of the ways the authorities keep us free from malicious and harmful substances. Only this wasn't a drug raid.
No.
The substance being sold wasn't crack or crystal meth or even bootleg hooch. It was milk.
This is an example of just how heavy-handed the government is in routing out disfavored parties. In this case, the government operates on a public interest argument that raw milk is inherently unsafe. It is a breeding ground for bacteria, and
when you look at the conflicts in Ukraine and in Israel, what difference would you draw considering the way they're carrying out their battle against the enemy?
Well, I mean, first of all, when you compare Russia and Ukraine, you're dealing with two modern conventional armies, large armies that operate the entire spectrum of weaponry. Aircraft, tanks, infantry, anti-air defenses. And so it's literally the definition of conventional warfare, large-scale conventional warfare. When you take a look at Hamas versus Israel, we're talking asymmetric warfare. We're talking a lightly armed insurgency, a guerrilla warfare type activity against a large conventional military. And so there's literally no comparison that can be made between the kind of fighting that's taking place in Ukraine and the kind of fighting that has taken place and will take place in Gaza between Israel and Hamas.
When you look at the response coming from the Netanyahu administration, they were talking about they are going to attack Hamas. Did they get anything out of this bombing considering Hamas?
Well, I mean, first of all, we have to take a look at the conduct of this conflict so far. We start on October 7th, and we see Hamas executing one of the most professional military operations imaginable. I'm not condoning the deaths of civilians. That's always, a tragic situation. But let's be honest, there's sufficient eyewitness account coming from Israeli sources that indicate that a significant number, perhaps even the majority of the Israelis killed, the Israeli civilians killed on October 7th, were killed by Israelis in a crossfire, the aggressive tactics used by the Israeli Defense Force, etc. Indeed, many of the people who participated in the outdoor concert, and over 260 of them were killed. It appears that a significant number of them may have been killed by Israeli gunfire, not Hamas gunfire. So, but you see the Israeli government tried to denigrate what Hamas did by saying it was a terrorist action, etc. No, it was a well-planned, well-executed military assault on Israel. And if Hamas is going to plan something to that level, and it, some people say, and I believe it took at least a year, maybe more, to plan this operation. You don't plan something, you don't plan to begin something and not have an idea on how you want it to end. There was a reason Hamas started this fight. And I think the reason is clear, that they needed to break the paradigm of the Abraham Accord, the agreement that was signed during the Trump administration that normalized relations, or sought to normalize relations between Israel and the Arab world at the expense of Palestinian statehood. The conditions that were created within the Abraham Accord about Palestinian statehood meant that there was never going to be a Palestinian state. And as Israel was moving toward reconciliation with Saudi Arabia, I think Hamas recognized that if that happened, there would never be a Palestinian state, ever, that Israel wins. So what needed to be done was to initiate a military operation on the scope and scale of which it changed the entire paradigm in the Middle East. And this is what happened. But it's not just about the embarrassment that they inflicted on Israel on October 7th. It's what they want to happen next. Let's be clear. The Israeli crimes against Gaza were predictable, meaning we know what Israel's policy is regarding collective punishment. They've actually put it in writing, the Dahiwa policy, mowing the grass. Since 2006, it's been officially stated as the policy of the Israeli Defense Force. So everybody knew what Israel was going to do. You just needed to create the conditions that had Israel doing what it wanted to do on a massive scale. And so the Hamas attack was designed to humiliate Israel, and then compel Israel to do something big, not something small, not something medium, something big. And Israel has done that. And what they're doing right now is the indiscriminate bombing of Gaza, collective punishment of the Palestinian people. And the reason Hamas wanted this to happen, I'm being a little cynical here, but it had to happen. Just like in order for Martin Luther King to succeed in the civil rights movement in the South, he needed to be beaten by white police officers. He needed to be arrested. Atrocities needed to occur to shock the American public into saying something's wrong here. And so what Hamas did is humiliate Israel, and then Israel did what Hamas knew they were going to do: respond massively, respond collectively, punishing the Palestinian people. And what is occurring here is Israel's losing the public relations war, which is what Hamas wanted. When you commit an atrocity, the world normally lines up against you. But what's happening right now is that the biggest atrocity being committed is by Israel against the Palestinian people. And this was by design. Hamas also is challenging Israel to come and get them. And Hamas is prepared for this aspect of the fight. They have gone deep underground in a tunnel network that is fully equipped to survive for a lengthy period of time. And the tunnels are constructed in a manner which enhances the defensive qualities of Gaza, whether it's been bombed or not. Israel's bombing is not impacting Hamas at all. Yeah, one tunnel might collapse and kill 20 guys here. Another tunnel might be damaged here. But by and large, Hamas, the military capability of Hamas, is intact. The only people suffering from the bombing are the Palestinian people. And again, this was by design. The more Israel bombs the innocent population of Gaza, the more damage is done to the reputation of Israel.
It seems to me that they don't have any long-term strategy on their part. Why these attacks?
Israel or Hamas?
Israel.
Israel's only strategy is to survive.
That's the case. If they want to survive, they have to survive with all these Arab nations that's surrounding Israel. Because it seems that by these attackings, they are getting worse politically with these Arab nations, with Turkey, with other nations. It doesn't seem that they have a long-term strategy for surviving in that region.
Well, actually, they had a brilliant strategy for surviving in that region. And that was to diminish the possibility of Palestinian statehood. Again, I bring up the fact that had Hamas not attacked on October 7th, there was a good likelihood that Israel would have normalized relations with Saudi Arabia. And that's the grand strategy of Israel, and it was winning. Israel got the United States to support the Abraham's Accord, which eliminated a Palestinian state as a possibility. Yes, in writing, they say it could happen if this happened, this happened, this happened, but none of that's going to happen. Israel's guaranteeing it isn't going to happen. Israel's grand strategy was working. They were winning. The Palestinians were losing. Not anymore. And now what's happened is that Israel is desperately trying to get back on track, but they've lost the narrative. The narrative has been taken over by Hamas, who is successfully using Israel's genocidal behavior against the people of Palestine as a weapon against Israel. And as you mentioned, Turkish President Recep Erdogan has said that Hamas is not a terrorist organization. Now, we know that Turkey never recognized Hamas as a terrorist organization, but he's coming out and saying that they are mujahideen, that they are resistance fighters, that they are working on the cause of God. This is a big deal. And because Turkey's giving voice to that which is believed throughout the Arab world. And the Israelis right now are holding on to.
Yep, exactement. It's a lot deeper than what Scott is. But Scott is doing a nice narrative of the surface that most people, like in America, I'm wearing his hat, right? Because when people say, oh, praise Jesus, and I go, yeah, praise Jesus. And they start talking, and I start talking like a Ritter there. Like, most people don't realize that 1,400 people, probably somewhere between 400 and 1,000 were killed by the IDF, not Hamas. Hamas didn't kill those people. They killed people as they rode in because they wanted to take over those towns to force the IDF to come after them. And they took, the hostages and drove them away in the SUVs. By the time the IDF got there, like 7 hours late, in tanks and attack helicopters, there was hardly any Hamas left. Just about 20 to 50 guys who were ready to die, Allah Akbar, and they ran around and got the IDF to blow up those towns, right? And that is becoming more and more self-evident. I mean, as Scott Ritter says it on this show that I put on my show, it's pretty much the people in Israel kind of starting, and that's why they're getting a little. And there's hundreds of people in front of all the government things wherever the president goes, Prime Minister Bibi goes. There's a couple hundred people go. Let go of the guys in jail for our, and that's what Hamas says. Give us all our boys back, which is about 14,000, and we'll give you the 400 or so, because it is somewhere between 200 and 400 hostages, right? Israel isn't really telling exactly what it is. And the four that have been let go basically said, these guys were all right. They were very nice to us. And Israel didn't like that, especially this grandma, her last name was Lipschitz. They want to arrest her and put her in jail for what she said, right? Now. And so, and again, Jamie is 100% right, because this all, meaning Israel is going to be toast, because it has to be toast, because in the Bible it says, end of times, Israel is toast. And we'll get yellowed up into survivability. And that little thing I was showing you about milk, that's just, the 1950s version of Mr. Globality, and, good old Robert Kennedy III, or whatever number he is, running for president. I would say he has a good chance of, because, regular Republicans, conservatives, are getting tired of Donald Trump, and that he doesn't respect anything. It's all about him. That's becoming self-evident. So, yes, his base, no matter what he does, like he said, I could go down Fifth Avenue and kill someone, and I wouldn't, it's very true. But that number of support is getting smaller and smaller, right? And Kennedy's is going to, because everyone hates Biden, everyone knows, he's a wired puppet, and so it's very interesting what's going to happen in America. And one of the things that's going to happen in America is America has to go down like Israel. And that's why we are, connected hip, because, and the only way America can go down is if it's just like during the Civil War. That was done on purpose to break the back of the economic, because the richest people in the United States at the time was not the northern millionaires. It wasn't the Gilded Age folk. Biltmores and the Astors and the Piedmont, Fort Ponce, all those guys. No, it was the Southerners. Between cotton and rice, South Carolina was the richest place on the planet. Their rice was like more valuable than gold. Cotton was more valuable than gold. Just before the Civil War started, the bankers from the South went up to New York Stock Exchange and said, listen, half of the money in the stock exchange is ours. You start a war with us, we're taking our money out. You're going to instantly be bankrupt and a depression. You won't be able to fight a war. You'll have no money. And pretty much everybody down south knows how to shoot. None of your people know. You've never given anybody a gun. Second Amendment. Second Amendment was for the Southerners to have their neatly codified militias were not to protect the state. It was to keep the slaves down, right? Because the slaves were it. You know, the cotton and the rice, the knowledge, the technology to grow rice. It's a very technical thing. You have to have these paddies, so you need to have, you know, dams, and it takes a lot of chemistry and a lot of math to grow rice. Southerners didn't have it. That's why they went and got those people. They specifically went and got the folks from the Sudan, the area where rice was being grown. And if you go to that neck of the woods where rice, right, those neck of the woods is still there, you look at it, and then you go back to South Carolina. It looks exactly the same. And so, and the guys who went and got those guys, someone was going on and on and on about America was based on religious freedom. No, it was based on economic freedom, and not even that, because all the chunks of property were given to people by the king to go, conquer. And it was a papal bull that said that. After 1492, the Pope said, all the white European people who represent me, the Pope, can go anywhere in the world, and if you land on a place that has people of color and they're not Christian, they're not humans. You can do whatever you want with it. Take their land. It's like when the Balfour Declaration, this whole thing, that land without people and a people without land. No, that's not it. It was like, 9 million Palestinian Arabs in that land before they were, pushed off, right? And they called it the Nakba, the Holocaust, the tremendous woe in Farsi, right? And it makes sure what happened in Nazi Germany. So, and this is not the basic narrative. I lived in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. My landlord was, Hasidic Jew, right? And he was the high rabbi, right? And he had a Lubavitcher, meaning a rabbi school. And, so I got it. I came back from Ireland in fourth time coming back from Ireland. It was probably 1974, 75. And I was couch surfing at my friends in Soho and Tribeca. And then I got a refrigerator to live in Duane Park down in Tribeca from Mr. Hotel Bar Butter, because I could fix his refrigerators. And that was okay for a year, but there were no windows, and but I kept it as my shamanic laboratory, because the walls were like 4 foot thick of cork. Back in the day when these refrigerators were made. So that's is actually the parent's crime. The kid is exactly doing what his parents do, but the kid doesn't know how to shut up. So he's being the parent. Oh, what time is it? How much juice do I have left? Oh, okay. I'm about another 20 minutes. Then I'll go up and do my errands. And so anyway, this is a more historical point of view, right? And see how I just kind of take whatever's around me and swarm it in here, right? So what we're looking at is in the next, between now and 2030 or 35, we are going to, have a total, and I've been talking about this, I have more than 2,000 shows. YouTube won't let me say I have more, they say I have 1,895 shows, 1,995 shows, and it never goes above that. Same with my subscribers. I can never get it above 600. And whenever it goes above 600, it's kind of like that gets thrown back down to like 4 something. And that's fine by me because there's the cadre who religiously, not religiously, but kind of watches. And there's a whole bunch of the cadre who watches me like on wallpaper. They don't involve themselves in the show, but later on when they come home from work or whatever, because I'm on another side of the world or something, they wake up and they put me on and they play me all day because I have so many shows. They just put me on and I go, and stop at a certain point, hit play, and then hit, keep, just go to the next one, go to the next one, go to the next one. And I keep it in the background. A lot of people do that. This is a shamanic ceremony. I'm living like a millionaire on $400. And at some point, God keeps telling me, "Don't worry." I wake up every morning and at that pain as I died. I come back and I go, "Okay, thank you, God. I can only get one eye open, and if it's light enough, because I live in a house, and if it's dark, I just fall back to sleep. I'm a real, light until when the clock falls behind. I actually kind of like it living here in the deep green because it gives me that extra hour to sleep. Right? So I woke up. I was supposed to meet somebody, and I said I'd meet you between 10 and noon at this place. I got here at 10:09, right? So, and I said I'd be wearing this hat, right? So anyway, so the thing that so I started talking about the big splat. You should go back to the big splat. And I started speaking about that 4 years ago. I started speaking about the big splat before COVID, right? I said there's going to be a big disruption. There could be a war, could be a pandemic, could be environmental. Well, we've had all three, right? Economic collapse. It's interesting. We've had 8 economic collapses since 2008. So the pandemic, no one even was watching, but the stock market dropped 0.75% of its value, and the people who shorted it in that month and a half period were guys like Elon Musk and Jeffrey Bezos and small penis, micro penis, and faceless moron, and all of that crew. They all made trillions of dollars. Where do you think Elon got his $44 billion to buy Twitter and then destroy it? Because he did that on purpose, because we're going to lose this internet and we will be given Elon, just like what happened in Ukraine. Russia took down the internet, thinking, okay, these guys won't be able to talk to each other. We'll be able to do whatever we want, and blah, blah. So that's why they didn't even think about what they were doing. They said, oh, we'll take down the internet in Ukraine. Within 60 hours, a number of C-17s landed in Poland and offloaded, 600, 400 ground-based stations for Elon's Starlink, right? And he put them all around Ukraine and plugged it into the backbone. Bang! Had the internet, which was indestructible, because they'd have to hit every one of those 400 to 600 Starlinks all over Ukraine to shut down the internet. Well, Russia couldn't do that. So what did they do? They blew up people's houses, right? Now, Russia has probably killed 40,000 unarmed citizens of Ukraine, right? And probably killed almost 200,000 soldiers. So Ukraine has probably lost almost 300,000 people, right? And Ukraine is starting to realize, the people of Ukraine are starting to realize we're being played here. They're going to fight this war to the last Ukrainian. So they're going to, and they're, you see it on the internet. People are going, oh, they're losing their backing. No, Jojo will give Ukraine as much money as as long as Ukrainians are dying, right? Because the more that happens, the other thing that people aren't really talking about is Russia is still sucking up cute girls and children from Ukraine. So they have about 1 million mommies and kids in Russia because their population was like doing this. Anybody had anything on the ball has left or is leaving Russia. So that they have nobody to fix anything. It's kind of in America, no one can do anything here. My car is a good example. I dumped $2,000 because I had, I hoped that those mechanics who looked real good, who wore uniforms and had all the right tools, all they did was take, things, struts and brakes off and replace them, which is kind of easy. But to keep my car running so I could get around, and it didn't do anything. When they changed the oil, I said, "Did you change all the fluids?" "Oh yeah, we took it." "Did you put antifreeze?" "Oh yeah." And when they didn't, and when my coolant system started to show signs that something was wrong, the smell, the this, the little lake that was forming in the, and I said, "What's wrong?" "Oh, that's the drain is probably plugged up. It's, just don't use your air conditioner." And not using my air conditioner, it didn't cool the engine off. But anyway, but that's just a symptom of what's going on around the freaking world. Where I'm living now, and all of the cockroaches are coming, and they're bringing the worst of the worst, and they're complaining that the people in the restaurants, in California, we have and if you want slaves, just let the Mexicans in. See, but they don't, because like around here, last 10 years, the only people who started to do businesses were the Mexicans who came to work in the farms. And when Maymead, which is owned by Bayer and what's his name, El Hydra, and they went from this unbelievable Garden of Eden to a monoculture of corn, not even corn for people, but feed, corn, tobacco, Christmas trees. That's all they grow here, and they're all GMO. Right? Where they used to have every bean, every vegetable, everything. But now the weather has changed to the point where the only thing really wants to grow here is GMO feed corn, tobacco, and it's GMO, not real tobacco. And Christmas trees. So go back and look at the big splash. We are Wile E. Coyote being tied to that missile going after the roof. So it's a very interesting situation. So that's my report to you. There's no one else here. 47 minutes. How much left of the juice? Yeah, I'm gonna bail. Almost in the red zone. What time is it? Yeah, I got things to do. So, talk to you later. You stay well. Be good. Don't get upset. Pray to, God. Praise Jesus. And, pray for us all. So let's have a prayer here. See the shadow. Only the shadow knows. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. As was in the beginning, is now, and shall be, world without end. Okay, guys. Oh, somebody's back. Is that you, AI? Hey, go get your fearless leader to get a hold of me. Anybody who wants to publish my work, get a hold of me at the dudewake42 at gmail. Dudewake42 at gmail. Anybody who wants to read my work, get a hold of me. Dudewake42 at gmail. Dudewake42. Jamie, have I sent you anything? And if I have, what do you think? Dudewake42 at gmail. Okay. And forget about you guys sent me so little in PayPal, forget about it. The few people who have sent it to me, and I can't get at it because every time I try to, PayPal wants to scrape all my data and keep an eye on me forever. I mean, they already do, so what do they want? And I can't figure out what they want, so screw it, Anyway, so go back and watch the show. The usual crowd is shuffling in, and I mean, you know that what used to be fun about the cadre was that they would talk to each other over there, and I couldn't read it, and I would just blithely go on as I do, and you guys would talk, which you don't even do that anymore. But there are a few folks like Jamie and a few others who come and take part. And see, I don't really care because this is a shamanic ceremony. I'm the pebble in the World Wide Web's pond, and I have an effect, you know. And I live like a millionaire on $400. So the more I'm like a carrot being, scraped by the carrot peeler, and whatever gets peeled off, like my car, I don't have to, worry about that. You know, car insurance is this and that. It's one less thing, right? And people come and get me or lend me their car or do lots of things. And they all want me to do something for that. They're all transactional, which is fine. I have no problem with that. That's what they want from me. Something I enjoy doing, and I can do it very easily. It's no skin off my toes. So, and my health, the last few weeks I've gone to all my doctors, and I got 2 more to see at the end of this month. And I'm in pretty good shape. And even if I wasn't, it wouldn't matter. I mean, I've died so many times. I know death is no big deal. Did you catch that little shudder in the image? That's what's happening to time. Okay. Because time is an illusion. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is. Never, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Hallowed. What's that mean? The most high, most holy. Yeah. Well, you gotta, hallowed be thy name. That's what you gotta say. That's what Allah Akbar is. Hallowed be thy name. Right? I mean, that's what it is, right? And when we pray and say Amen, that's what it is. And when everyone's doing this, you know what that is? That's this. That's the Buddhist symbol of respect. Does anyone care about any of this? I do. Your Sensei Elbop does. And that's why I keep talking about it. So I'll talk to you guys later. You stay well. Okay. Kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread and forgive us our trespasses. Forgive us our trespasses. We are stupid monkeys. We do stuff all the time, right? I asked Christian, so what's your favorite 2 Ten Commandments? What are you talking about? I said, what's your favorite 2? Well, meaning they don't know any of them. So for me to ask them what their 2 are, they can't tell you because they don't know any of them. Right? And basically, there are only 2. All the rest of them, don't take the Lord's name in vain, there's only one God, blah, blah, all of those, right? And then there is no false witnesses against God. But all those things about God, you see how the camera did that again? All those things about God are that same thing of no false witness against your neighbor. And your neighbor is God, because he's right inside of you. He's your neighbor. So God is always with me. He's my neighbor. Hey, how you doing, neighbor? And the other one is don't covet your neighbor's goods or his wife or his slave, and there's like 3 of those coveted things, right? So that's right there is about 8 of the 10, right? I'm sure there were more, and as Moses was coming down, he had these 4 big stone tablets, and he dropped 2 of them, and he said, well, I'll just tell them there's 10, right? That's a Monty Python shtick. Anyway, I love you guys. Stay well. Be good. Be happy. Okay. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread and forgive us our trespasses. We forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation. Deliver us from evil. It was in the beginning, is now, and every day and every way take the peace of the earth and make it stronger. That's that God love thing. See how quickly I was like a car commercial, or a commercial for things that Big Pharma wants you to have. So anyway, I said it all in less than 30 seconds. Here we go. It's getting close. Nobody's here. There's only 1 thumbs up. Come on, let's have some 1 thumbs up. Okay. See how slow time goes when you're waiting and waiting. Exactly. Look at that.